Let me address some of the concerns you have about my safety. So first of all, thank you for being concerned with my safety. But I also think a lot of people in the comments are very naive. What a lot of people are recommending is that I should have stayed here in the village instead of going to the fire. So you rather have I stay here in the village, and then the fire comes, and then I have no idea what to expect. Because as you saw in the video of yesterday, I made a couple of remarks about how the fire is spreading and how I didn't know that. So what is the most important thing you can have or do during a disaster? It's not an evacuation plan. It's also not having sprinklers in your garden. The most important thing during any disaster is your mind. You can be prepared into the finest details. If your mind is not set in a problem-solving and, how you say, calm manner when these kind of things happen, you're basically whole evacuation plan ready, everything in the car. You drive down the road here, you get a flat tire. Panic. You die. Just an example. It's like with preparing for shit hitting the van, as they have this saying in English. You don't know what's gonna happen, guys. You can prepare for so many things. The only thing that is really valuable to prepare is your mind. How can you stay calm? How can you problem solve in an efficient manner? And me, coming from Holland, I have no idea what these fires are about. If you live in Australia, or if you live in America, or if you're Portuguese, you know about these fires. You've probably seen them up close. I have no idea what to expect from such a fire and how it behaves. And I think for me it's really valuable also relating to my village to see what could actually happen. Because most people have no idea. This village is not gonna burn down. Even if all the forest here on the outside is on fire, the worst thing that can happen is my veranda going up into flames. That's why eventually that needs to be concrete. But if you saw yesterday's video what happened in the small village, it's pieces of, it's not even like sparks, it's like whole pieces of wood that fly through the air and land somewhere else and then cause a fire there. But if they land somewhere where there's not much to burn, just a little bit grass on the floor, that's the only thing that will burn. Now if there are like pine trees or eucalyptus trees or stuff like that in the village, what you saw with the last house in the village from the video from yesterday, that was very close to the trees, then you have a problem. I'll show you in a minute here the outskirts of our village. I think as people you should also be prepared to do something about this and not only depend on municipal or government to take care of your stuff. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people can make. Depending on others to solve your problems. I think you all can agree with me that this world we live in at this moment is not heading in the right direction. If you do think this world is heading in the right direction at this moment, I don't know where you're sticking your head. So things have to change. And I think one thing that has to change is that we have to revert part of the path we went on as a society. And I think that starts with your own responsibility and your own sustainability. 100 years ago they also had fires here. You think there was a fire truck coming into the village to save you? No. Definitely not. Yeah, if you're depending on whichever government institute is going to save you, you can wait a very long time. I'm not only talking about firemen. Firemen are maybe like the most useful public servant still, but also in other areas. And I think we as a society should take a couple of steps back and take our own responsibility for things. Bread for Maria. So you guys think Maria would leave the village when there's fire close to the village? I don't think so, guys. I think Maria would only leave if she is forced to leave. You see this? This is what they used as agricultural land. And to be fair, it's a little bit overgrown here. But this is a sort of barrier, fire barrier. Now these lands all need to be kept clean. Some of them are and some of them aren't. Mainly because I don't know who the owners are. But around our whole village we have this 50 or 60 meters agricultural land. What is a very good barrier between the village and the forest. The only thing in our village that's basically a little bit of a problem is the entrance road here, where we have this very big patch of mimosas. And this is directly on an aquifer, because our well is down there. So I don't know if that's maybe a reason why it's not getting cut. But still, the fire cannot reach the village with trees, because there are no trees like directly next to the village. So the only thing we're gonna have is these sparks like flying through the sky and landing somewhere in the village. And if all the lands in the village are cut, not like this, but like my land and the land next to it, where there's only a little bit of grass, that is the only thing that is gonna burn. Except if one lands next to my veranda, which is all made of wood. That's an issue. Another tip was wetting your garden. By the time I get to that side of the garden, this side of the garden is already dry again. You see this? That is not going to stay moist for very long. If you think I should put sprinklers through all the garden, the water pressure from the municipal is not even capable of watering this whole garden the whole time. So put a pump in your well. Yeah. We're on a mountain, guys. This well is not, how you say, full all year round. As you can see at the moment, it's pretty empty. That's not gonna last us very long because it doesn't fill up. I don't think wetting your garden is the most useful spending of your time. I think there's a lot more value in assessing the situation and maybe letting some parts like just burn because they cannot burn very far, and only focus on what in that moment, after assessing the situation very well, is the best thing to do. And sometimes just letting small stuff burn might be the best solution. So I can understand that people try to wet their garden, but it's I think it's mostly due to lack of better understanding what is actually necessary. You have to prevent yourself that you're like running around like a headless chicken, thinking that you doing something good, and it doesn't make it worse, but maybe your time could be spent better. I sometimes give this example about how much control you have in a situation is when some people drive a car and something goes wrong while driving the car, like say you slide or something, or you lose control of the steering or something. And the worst people are the people that pull their hands off the wheel and are like, oh fuck. Because then you're not in control of the situation anymore and you just give up. So think to yourself, are you the person that when something happens in the car, you pull your hands off the wheel and let the universe take care of it? So let me address some of the comments on the video from yesterday. Maybe I can give you some more insights in my way of thinking about this. That's the most stupid I think you've ever been. Just look after your girls. Fires are bigger than your bravery. So I think I explained in this video why I did that. And it's definitely not bravery. It's getting myself informed. Because one thing is also, we saw that with the other fire that was a couple of weeks ago near Alex, is that the authorities inform you very bad about what is happening. And in some cases they tell you, when you ask questions, just to go home and wait in your house, although they have no idea where you live. Maybe you live very close to the fire and they are saying stay in your house. So yeah. About the reliability on government. So also one of the reasons, although I didn't think it was coming to our village, I really wanted to know which way this fire was traveling. If you look at apps, like for instance the Focus app, what should be a very informative app, it always only tells you where the fire started. So a fire has been raging for 3 days. On the Focus app it still says it's over there, but it's a long way over there. So that's not very useful if a fire is really close to you. Get Maria and her baby. Yeah. Like I said, we can ask her, not in this video, but maybe next time I see her and I'll let you know, if she would leave the village. Because also, as you saw in the video from yesterday, the people in that village are still there and taking care of their properties. That's too close for comfort. Yes, it's very close. And still people smoke, open the car window and throw it out. Yes, that's a problem also. That's very scary and so close. Put some bits into your van and make sure you, the girls, and Maria have an exit plan. Yeah, you should have an exit plan, but it's not the most important thing. You took a big risk, Jasper. Don't do that again. Yeah, I probably will do that again, as I explained why. Somebody in Dutch, halve zool, je gaat toch niet zomaar naar een brand toe? You stupid idiot, you don't go to a fire like that. I did go to a fire like that, and I explained you exactly why. And you can agree with that or not, but that is my way of doing things and my way of thinking about things. You should make sure a dig dug is up and running. You could cut a lot of fire line and protect a lot of property. Yeah, but that's not something you do like right before the fire hits your village. I saw a video of a guy with a bulldozer trying to do something, and the bulldozer was lost. But there can be a lot of stuff done more for fire prevention, especially thinning out the whole forest. But that is something that we're not allowed to do ourselves, and that the government is also not doing. I knew a man who ran to see a fire to find his house burned on his return. Yeah. That's a very stupid man. Even when I'm like close to the fire there, I know which direction the fire is heading, right? And if it heads towards my village, I'm going back to my village. And then you maybe say, oh, but the fire goes very fast. In my experience, fires don't go that fast, guys. Maybe if you're not paying attention, then it hits up on you fast. But like the fire a couple of weeks ago north here, I think it traveled 200 kilometers in 10 days. I can walk faster than that, guys. Also the fire here, I didn't have the idea when I was looking at it that it was going so rapidly. Let's see, what more do we have? This is the reason they ask you to cut the grass on your properties. Yes, but it's not only the properties, it's also the forest. And as I understand, there's not so much rules about needing to keep your piece of forest land clean. At least I see no enforcement on that. Put the girls first and Maria. Make sure you're ready with them to evacuate. Yeah, I don't think that is the smartest solution. Just sit there and wait if you need to evacuate or not. And no, nobody has to rescue me. I can take very good care of myself. Scary stuff. You better, although I understand your reason for concern, stay away from it. Yeah, I explained why, right? Create a fire break with Doug. Stay safe. Yeah, so we cannot create fire breaks around the house, and it's also not necessary. Like I just showed you, there are very big pieces of land without any trees in between the forest and our village. There is a lot of grass on them though, so they do need to be cut. But this is, how you say, kind of a difficult situation, because you don't know who the people are. Some people keep their lands, others don't. And from other lands it's also not clear for me who is the owner, and the only thing that you can do at that moment is like make a report with the police or the municipal, I don't know exactly. And then they will either find the person or cut it and send the bill to that person. But that's also not something you want to, how you say, force on people. I rather talk to the people themselves, and if they don't want to cut it, I'll cut it for them. That's also no problem. But sending like the police on to people is also like another step level. You shouldn't have left the girls and Maria in the village alone. I saw no problem in doing that. Also, driving your bike through all the flames and smoke are very dangerous for you as well. I can take very good care of myself, like I said. So no, I don't think that was dangerous. Thank God your friends are safe. Even if they weren't, there is nothing you can do to help them just driving on your bike. No, the idea was maybe to get to them and help them protect their property. Get off my bike and pick up a shovel or something. Well, you think I'm just driving there on my bike like, hi friends, bye friends. What? It's very short-sighted. You put yourself in a very dangerous situation. I don't think so. The situation I was in had multiple ways to escape that situation. I just chose to stay there to analyze and experience what it's like to be close to one of those fires. We care deeply about your physical and mental health, and also Maria and the girls. Yeah, so you apparently have a different idea about how somebody should care about another person. Because like saying like only driving on your bicycle, what would that help your friends? Like, of course that wouldn't help my friends. You think I would be only like riding on my bicycle? And mentally you should be prepared for such a thing. And if you're preventing people with these kind of comments to be mentally prepared for such a thing, what I'm doing, then I think you're not supporting the ghost town community in the right way. Please don't put your life at risk again. If you think that is putting your life at risk, I don't know where you live, but most big cities nowadays, you put your life more on risk by living in a big city than going to see a fire here. No, I don't take this comment. I take all comments with love, but also with, not with anger, but seeing the short-sightedness of some comments. Respect the fire brigade. Yeah, so that was also like another point of mine. If I see like in the media any coverage about firefighting, you only see firefighters standing next to their car, doing nothing. So in 3 years I was under the impression that firefighters in Portugal don't do much. So this was also an opportunity for me to see what is really happening with like firefighters when they're fighting a fire, because the media is not capable of giving a realistic view of the situation. So yeah, more respect for the fire brigade after I saw some fires up close, for instance. Horrible reminder why land and villages are so cheap in central Portugal. That is definitely not the only reason. You would have been arrested for this behavior in many countries. Arrogance and stupidity. And I hope this video explains a little bit about that it's not arrogance and stupidity. What countries would I be arrested for this? I think you depend too much on the government. Next one. The first rule we are taught when fire is coming: dress appropriately. Jeans and long sleeves, cotton and wool. I think I would function a lot less good in 33 degrees with wool and long sleeves. I don't know where you're from. Maybe it's something I didn't learn yet. Maybe I'll learn someday. Second, if you are not part of the solution keep out because they don't have time or the resources to spend rescuing you. Yeah, so there were a lot of people there walking around, like local farmers and stuff, who were trying to save their buildings. They all don't need rescuing, guys. I also don't need rescuing. I can be part of the solution, like maybe in the longer term. It's not all about the short term. It's also like finding a solution for this whole problem. So that's short-sighted. You should look further than just that moment. Third, unless you have any special training, you are a burden to firefighters. Yes. 4. I think that's still 3. If you're interested in the fires, become a volunteer and get some training. Yes, so before you would want to do that, you would want to know what it really beholds to be a firefighter, right? So if I only see the media and see how firefighters are standing next to their trucks, then I don't want to be a firefighter, because you want to do stuff and you're probably not allowed because of some command that says you're not allowed to go in there, right? So if I would go on that notion, I would never be a volunteer. If I firsthand see what firefighters are doing in such a situation, then I might be obliged to say, oh, maybe I should join them, right? Also a very short-sighted part of this comment. 5. This is still from the same person. Look after your home space. Water everything, wet absolutely everything in your yard. Look at your animals, your neighbors. Shall we look at the piece I just wetted? The top part is already dry, guys. I will be wetting now over there probably. I don't think 30 minutes before a fire hits your village, wetting your garden is the best option to do. I'm cross, Jasper. You were very lucky today. With very angry emojis after it. You mean lucky that I'm still alive? Lucky that my village didn't burn? Those two things were completely out of the question. And there's no luck involved in this. And after I got that off my chest, I'm so glad you didn't get hurt or arrested or run over or anything. I'm also glad that didn't happen, but I also don't think there was a chance of any of that happening. Worry is not going to get you anywhere, guys. Being prepared is going to get you somewhere. Worry is not going to get anything any good at any moment. That's why one should keep their grasses cut low, and one should never impede the firefighters. What does impede mean? Like obstruct? You thought from my video I was obstructing firefighters? I didn't see that. They might have been annoyed that I was there. They're public servants, you know, and public servants stand in the public eye. And somebody recording what is happening should not be a problem for them if they handle everything in the right manner, right? It's a little bit the same like with police. Most of the time a policeman doesn't want you to film him because he's doing things that are outside of his book. And then you don't want any people watching what is happening, right? And a lot of policemen, for instance, nowadays think they are above the law. I don't see any police car using any sort of signaling like a siren or like lights when they do something that is a normal car is not allowed to do. And I think in every country in Europe it's mandatory that that is done. So if you see a police car running a red light, he for sure must be using a siren or some light. Unless he's going somewhere where he shouldn't be noticed arriving at a scene. And that's very rare cases, guys. But if you start recording, for instance, police doing this kind of stuff, they don't like you recording. So the same goes then for firemen. If they're doing something that is not correct, or they have the idea that something is not, or they have the idea that something is being recorded wherein they don't look that good, then sure, they could have a problem with people that are filming them. If they do a great job, it would only be nice to see firemen doing a great job, right? So why would you object with filming? So yeah, I hope maybe that cleared up a little bit of the way I think about things. And I don't think anybody should be telling anybody what to do. You must do this, or you can say like, I would have done this, or maybe this would have been a better idea, or sure. But like I said, I think a lot of these comments are very short-sighted, and they are only given because people don't know any better, and because people heard this is the way to do something, and if it's really the right way or not, because they heard it, they, how do you say, promote it. A lot of stuff in this world is not how a lot of people think it is, or a lot of stuff in this world is not good in the way people think it is. Short-sightedness. Get educated. Learn new stuff every day, even if it's about how a fire behaves. Hey, and I still rather be in Portugal and deal with these fires than get stabbed somewhere in Northern Europe. I don't know about you.